Well, hello there, and welcome to the candy wallpapered upstairs hallway of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elvers for April 9th, the day of excess. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representational image of the day of excess outside of this crazy circus of a dollhouse aspect here. We have what appears to be, boom, what is it? Oh, it's a fountain. That's right, a fountain. Now, does that speak to the day of excess outside of it's always bubbling with water, ostensibly? I don't know. A lot of times these visual representational images are kind of, enigmatic. They don't make a lot of sense, but I would say that's the conclusion I draw right on its face. That said, not altogether all too important, the visual representational image. Not when it's April 9th and it's someone's birthday. No, in that case, what's important around here? Wishing you a happy birthday, assuming it's your birthday. That said, if this video finds you late, hey, I hope you had a happy birthday in that circumstance. But for everybody else who's joining us, whose birthday it isn't, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Before I dive in with the reading direct, something I like to do around these here parts, and that is roll some dice. That's right, this is the Diecast birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake. But if you've been here before and know the story, well, hey, just skip ahead in the chapters, get to the read direct. I'll be here rolling dice, because I do so more importantly for synchronicity's sake. And here I rolled us a 5 and a 4 for a 9. Now, what does that mean, synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, friends, if I had rolled a 9, that would have... Oh, I did roll a 9. I didn't even notice. Rolled a 9. Hey, that's synchronicity right there. It's the 9th, right? Hey, there's one bit. But more importantly, I would say the idea is that a lot of times as we're going through this life, we're very narrow of focus, or we got the blinders on, very singular as we go down our beaten track, the job and the like. But as I've heard it told, the universe, or the higher powers that be, if you like, will oftentimes put things in our path to help us realize our goals or manifest our aspiration. That is, if we're willing to look and follow those things. But like I said, we're apt to not necessarily notice them. So this is a little bit of an examination or experiment to help you pick up on those things and hopefully just see, taste, touch a little bit of magic the universe might have in store for you. How do you do that, you're probably wondering? Well, outside of looking for your number, it could be the 54, the 45, the 9. You keep an eye out for such things. But it could also be you just get out into the world and you start seeing reoccurring things. Like take the fountain, for instance. Maybe you start seeing fountains everywhere. I would take note of that, all right? But how do we incorporate the dice even further? If, like, say you want the universe to take the wheel. Well, get your own set of dice. Go to some place maybe near and dear to your heart that you haven't explored before. Get your numbers there, but also ascribe directional values to number sets. Like north would be 1 through 3, east, 4 through 6, and so on. You can even say evens and odds for yeses and nos. You ask questions, left and right, that kind of thing. But once you get all that established and you're rolling your dice and you're setting time limits with which to go in those directions, you set off, you get those blinders off, and be eagle-eyed about everything you see. Because like I said, the day might start to take on a theme. You start seeing those fountains or whatever it might be. In so much as maybe it's not even real fountains. Maybe it's representations of as much. You see it on an advertisement, on a billboard, on the side of a bus going by. Hey, I would take that to mean the universe is telling you you're on the right path, all right? And maybe as you get on with this particular journey, somebody sees you rolling dice and they see that there's no one else around, so you can't be playing craps. They might ask you what you're doing. Hey, just tell them what you're up to, all right? And they're going to tell you it's crazy, but hey, you know what? So what? It's your birthday. You got to shake things up a little bit, I would say. But maybe you tell them, I know, understand, and they go, well, not that dice rolling aspect. That is pretty crazy. But what's even crazier is it's my birthday too. Oh, yeah, you probably say no way, but it could happen. You never know. Maybe the universe was lining you up for that. Or maybe you meet someone from high school on the way and you guys get lunch and whatever. It could just be like these happenings that wouldn't have occurred if you hadn't got out there and opened yourself up to as much. So if you see, taste, touch, smell, intuit, even just a little bit of that kind of magic, interesting things coming your way, you'll understand why I brought it up, all right? Do something special for yourself on your birthday. That said, I think you get the idea. Let's get into the birthday read. That's why you're here, all right? Your month is April. Your day is the 9th. Your sign is 18 to 20 degrees Aries of the Aries II period specifically. And your quality and element is Cardinal Fire. All right, here we go. April 9th, the day of excess. April 9 people are certainly one of a kind. They are often the extreme embodiment of unusual trends in society, and their talents convey in excess. Any compromise, restriction, or tempering of their abilities is out of the question. Usually, they leave no doubt as to their views on any subject, and they are outspoken, direct, sometimes even harsh. But talking about what they do is not really their specialty. They just prefer doing it, which usually means doing it a lot. April 9 people have a particular genius for translating ideas into action, giving rein to their fantasies in the most practical ways. They can even make a good living doing so. And fortunately, their ideas are usually of a social nature and thus enrich the lives of others. April 9 people have a strange thought process and often quite humorous, but they are not idle dreamers. On the contrary, they have a strong realistic streak and the uncanny ability to know when an idea's time has come. Not overly social people, those born on this day may find their ideas the principal link between themselves and their associates, family, and friends. More often than not, the world of an April 9 person is a highly individualized and somewhat lonely one. There is a great desire to share personal discoveries with intimates, but this is not always possible. The greatest gift an April 9 person can give is to reveal him or herself at a deep level to another, and too often, however, this gift is never given. The strong influence April 9 people have on others is not always for the best. Their families or followers should beware of adopting their more strongly biased and excessive ideas, literally. To do this could have shattering results. And above all, those born on this day set an example for freedom of action and for discipline in work, for a kind of uncompromising behavior that most people cannot emulate. When the aim of April 9 people is to radically change the thought of others by way of example, they usually succeed. But because April 9 people usually have a strong amoral streak, those around them may even see them as unprincipled or selfish. And those born on this day would do well to periodically evaluate and study their own ideas, critically assess their own lifestyle, and change it for the better if possible. The physical orientation of this day is marked, and the tangible concerns and bodily limitations of the human condition interest April 9 people greatly. And they constantly strive to transcend these limitations. Often this striving begins with earthly matters and proceeds toward the spiritual. The danger is that less highly evolved April 9 people will get stuck in the physical plane and proceed no further. And they should generally seek to expand their horizons and to view all of life from a more philosophical point of view. All right, pretty interesting day, if I do say so myself. A lot of these Aries period days, hey, they follow a very similar track, but the one particular linchpin that is common is that they do so in different ways, and I would say more so than just about every other period I've come into. So much so that the notes I'm about to get into, the comments on the breakdown, I've had trouble writing them because they just always seem like they're the same thing, except for this one isolated thing that changes the whole dynamic. That said, I do find it kind of ironic that you'd be so open to all these different ideas of your own, but that you'd be rather philosophically closed-minded in a way. Because I would say philosophy in and of itself is an examination of ideas. But you know what? Even philosophers get mired in their own particular track. Say you're materialists or you're idealists, and then they kind of go off in those avenues and they don't show consideration for the others. So, point being, not necessarily unheard of. That said, let's get into the notes here, see what I had to say about the breakdown, make some more relations about the Aries period and the like. Here we go. April 9, the day of excess. You're said to be one of a kind, and the reading claims you are the extreme embodiment of unusual trends in society. This also kind of follows with Aries, insofar as there's a very social aspect. Maybe not like, socially speaking, but they recognize things going on in society. And here that seems to follow for you as well. Your talents are conveyed in excess. That definitely sets you apart in a very specific way. And so people shouldn't even concern themselves with you putting on the brakes, because it sounds like you don't even have them installed, all right? Metaphorically speaking. To which perfectly explains why you'd be outspoken, harsh, direct, and prefer taking action over talking about things. And luckily for the rest of us, this gets realized in genius, practical ways that tend to contribute to the better good, it sounds like. At least the way I read it. And as I know there are plenty of other doers in this book, genius or otherwise, they aren't focused on enriching the lives of others. So again, that might set you apart in that respect. That said, despite what the reading claims is a strange thought process, you're said to have a humorous side and a practical understanding of how and when to apply your ideas. Some folks don't have that. And sometimes humor takes over things, and that's all there really is there. So it's rather shallow outside of that. So that tells me you may be a bit business in the front, party in the back to some extent. All right. All of this being stated, I'd say in a lot of ways it draws parallels to other Aries folks with their accomplished abilities in the workspace and how you realize it that sets you apart. All right. As I previously mentioned. That said, the lack of a world outside of an individualistic focus is a running theme with the Aries folks also. Some mention of finding those to share your ideas in life with isn't that novel for the period, but the fact that they're mentioning it, I would say it applies to you in no small part as well. So maybe take note. What else did I have here to say? It's a principal concern, but I can appreciate this warning giving to those who do get close to you, all right? To try not to emulate your dynamic. It's just too strong and intrinsically a part of you, so they can't emulate it. They can't they can't do what you do, all right? I can't think of a better, more eloquent way to say it at the moment. But with words like amoral and uncompromising, they may be compromising their own morals and ideals if they were able to do so, which might not be great for them. Yours is focused on a completely different worldview and perception, and so for them to try and dabble in it could prove disastrous, all right? Who's to say? Or they're totally sacrificing part of who they are. For you, it's just, that's how you do. That's how you get on. Pretty interesting there. That said, everybody can do with periodically evaluating their ideas and their lifestyle, all right? But it's seldom espoused upon in the book, all right? So if it's here for you, I would say take heed of that. Give it some thought once in a while. And if you are an idea person, philosophy, and expanding your horizons, it should be right up your alley anyway. So like I said, ironically, surprised it's not. But hey, there's the trap, I would suppose, the ironic trap. That said, kind of what I had to say about the breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. That's right, let's get into a little bit of astrology here if you like. Those born on the 9th of the month are ruled by the number 9 and the planet Mars. And since Mars is also the ruler of Aries, April 9 people feel a doubly strong Mars influence. Extreme forms of aggression may manifest along with impulsiveness and anger. The success of those born on this day will be measured by their ability to control these impulses and harness this excess Martian energy in a conservative, non-indulgent fashion. The number 9 is a master number, powerful in its effects on other numbers. To say any number added to 9 yields that number, e.g. 5 plus 9 equals 14, and 4 plus 1, or 1 plus 4 equals 5. And any number multiplied by 9 yields a 9. To say 9 times 5, 45, 4 plus 5, 9. This underlines the influential nature that April 9 people have on others. So, interesting. That said, this was a bit of a boilerplate entry here. They didn't really personalize it for you that much outside of to say you're dually influenced. which is kind of unfortunate because I can tell it's not boilerplate insofar as they rewrote this. They put all the same stuff in there, but they did it in different arrangement. So they took the time to change things up a little bit, but they didn't take the time to personalize it more for you. So it's a little bit of a letdown in that respect, by my opinion. And for such an interesting day as well, I felt like they could have added something. So let's see if I can pick up a little bit of the slack here, or at least add one or two more things to it. That said, number 9 in the planet Mars for a Mars rulership. Kind of a telling explanation for why you might be so direct and rough and ready to get after all things in your life. This real consummate doer aspect. The duly imposed god of war, aggression, and fire said to be lent to the planet Mars with its adventuresome ambition. That said, concerning the breakdown specifically, I'm surprised it's not more aggressive and more impulsive, all right? I would also argue that regardless of the reality, finding a way to control or be mindful of your impulses is great advice, okay? But to that end, it's mentioned here for you specifically. Once again, not something that they do all that often or make a ready practice of doing just for the sake of doing it. So maybe take note, all right? Like I said, it doesn't come up very often. So what do we got here? Let your realistic streak be what guides you in this respect, all right? And also mind that in a numerology sense, you have the ability to intrinsically influence others, all right? So it sounds like they didn't make mention of folks wanting to be like you, even though they can't, just absently. Might apply for that particular reason too, or be, what do you call it? That might be a little bit of evidence for as much, even though it's more of a metaphysical idea. So maybe take heed of that as well. You got influence on folks, so be mindful of it. That said, that's your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot card. That's right. Your tarot, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, if it is an ideology outside of a consensus reality, the idea that if enough people believe in something, that makes it more real. I don't know, I'm getting a little into the weeds here with that kind of thing, but all this to say, some folks think it's blasphemous. Hey, you know what? It's just something here in the book. We can leave it here. We don't have to take it home and start dealing out the cards. Let's just see what it has to say. Sometimes it informs the breakdown, gives us something to think about. So let's get after it. The 9th card of the major arcana is the Hermit, who walks carrying a lantern and a stick, and he represents meditation, isolation, and silence. Now, the card signifies crystallized wisdom and ultimate discipline. And the Hermit is a taskmaster who uses conscience to keep others on their path. The positive side of this card is stick-to-itiveness, purpose, profundity, and concentration. Does that sound like someone we know, at least based on the breakdown? Negative meanings include dogmatism, intolerance, mistrust, and discouragement. And once again, maybe so there too. This card may serve as a reminder of the importance of self-control to an April 9 person. All right. Once again, another bit of a boilerplate entry. Copy-paste job through and through, except at the end where they buttoned it to say it can serve as a reminder. That's kind of how they do with the tarot. Sometimes, a lot of times too, complete copy-paste job. No, they don't even button it. So let's see what else I had to say here. The Hermit, who represents meditation, isolation, and while signifying crystallized wisdom and discipline. All right, well, the book only relates this card to you with one sentence. I guessed correctly what that relation would be, for it to serve as a reminder, okay? Bring your intrinsic powers under review and be mindful of how they're used. Yeah, all right, so they say it again. But it is a running theme of the day that goes, if it's something that they bring up time and time again, probably something to take note of. Today they've been doing it a lot. They don't often do that. They don't often reiterate. So again, maybe take note. That seems to be the theme of the day here. What else? Again, the tarot seems to be a copy-paste job a lot of times. Again, kind of discouraging that they didn't do that here for you today. But I will add that a lot of the Aries folks arouse antagonism from other people. Even the most glowing, generous person who just kind of does their own thing, but excels at it. Like their purpose in life is just to do their job and be good out of it. Like even if they're thrown into a position of leadership, that's not what they want. They want to go do that other thing. But they will try their best at it. They arouse antagonism. Even very friendly individuals who get a lot of friendships, even though they may not really care about it too much, but they garner them anyway. Again, they arouse antagonism. Here for you, I would say it's more of the idea of what you would think would arouse antagonism. This rough and ready, harsh, sometimes amoral individual who's just got boundless energy. Yeah, the jealousy would definitely creep up for that, I would think, in the more negative aspects. But for a lot of the other Aries folks, it seemed to be for positive things. So that theme seems to be running here too, this antagonism aspect. I just wanted to mention that because I don't think they drilled down on it too much, but it was here, and I just wanted to relate that very interesting facet there for you. But that said, that's been your tarot. Let's move on to your health. Here we go. April 9 people must be very careful of literally destroying themselves and others with their energy. Self-inflicted injuries of all kinds are a danger, which is interesting because that tends to come up only for Mercury folks. It's number 5 days. Mars influences are strong in April 9 persons, so they may also attract, well, what do you think? That's right, antagonisms, even violence from others who do not like their outspoken views and direct forms of expression. In many people, strenuous exercise is to be encouraged, but in April 9 people, the physical aspects of their life need to be tempered. Interesting, all right? As far as eating is concerned, there is a tendency for April 9 people to swing from fasting to overindulgence. And for this reason, they do far better when they allow themselves a well-rounded diet. That is balanced nutrition and reasonable fats. All right. This health entry bucks tradition for sure. All right. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but Aries has been doing this lock stock. Okay. Anomalies everywhere. Let's get into why I say that. And hopefully I cover it if it's not in the notes. Okay, here we go. You must be careful of destroying yourself and others with your energy. All right. Talk about 0 to 100 in a heartbeat, I would say. Now, this is the kind of thing to be expected with the dual Mars rulership, I would argue. That god of warlike energy and aggression. But examining how the folks you don't influence respond to your dynamic, that's also interesting. They don't do that all too often. Maybe even more so that it's coming up in the health section makes it more interesting. But I guess it makes sense if that injury aspect there's coupled to it. But to tell you to temper your strenuous exercise and recognize it, that's also interesting because Mars folks, they usually get strenuous or vigorous exercise. And sometimes it's like, hey, go do some combative sports, ostensibly to excise your god of warlike tendencies and aggression there, if you like. So too with vigorous. But lately, that hasn't been coming up. And everybody in Aries is ruled by the Mars, right? Mostly they've been getting moderate exercise. In some cases, it sounds like they're already doers and active, and so just their everyday activities, they're getting the exercise they need. For you, though, sounds like you might hurt yourself. You might go too hard, too fast, and that's not necessary, all right? At least to go exercise, because you already do it. That said, the swing diet penchant that they mentioned for you, uncommon, all right? Very interesting. A balanced diet and the like, too. Typically, Mars folks can kind of do what they want. They're so grounded. They're so earthly based there. But not for you, apparently. There's that Aries anomaly again. Not what I would have expected. So, again, it bucks tradition. That said, that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice. Here we go. You must learn to compromise. Beware of selfishness. Giving and receiving love is important for everyone. And don't get stuck in the physical. Always reach for the stars. Temper your wildest urges and learn the lessons of balance. All right. Pretty interesting. Reach for the stars. That's something they typically, Neptune people do intrinsically. And they get the suggestion to kick their head down out of the clouds. You're so earthly based and rooted. Hey, we need to give ourselves a little bit of time to dream, it sounds like. Anyway, I'm probably getting off burning everything down already. Let's see what I had to say here. They said you must learn to compromise, all right? And I can see it for you since you're firm in your resolve, all right? And it'll rub some folks the wrong way if you don't give in a little bit, entertain their particular notions. Yeah, it's fine if you want to arouse antagonism, maybe not so much so on the violence end of things, all right? You never know who you're getting into bed with, so to speak. That said, on a more down-to-earth notion, you never know what horizons are going to be expanded by compromising, all right? Yeah, somebody wants to watch this cooking show, you couldn't care less, and then what happens? You watch it, hey, I like it. You wouldn't have watched it otherwise, you know, that kind of thing. Could be with anything, naturally. They said beware selfishness, all right? Again, what are you missing by not communicating or sharing with others, all right, or entertaining their desires? Again, I would say expanding the horizons. So expand your ideas and your dynamic, all right? Make it even more so, more fulfilling. Maybe you, find that you don't need wheels on the car either if you take it down a hill or a mountain, but you weren't somebody who liked skiing, but now you are. Now you're even more extreme. I don't know. I'm kind of off base there, but what else did they say? Don't get stuck in the physical, all right? Mars and its overly grounded energy. Don't be afraid to get a little uncomfortable, all right? And explore the extracorporeal, if you like, which is a big word for outside the physical body. So dream a little bit, okay? Temper your urges and find balance, okay? Recognize when you might be getting a little out of pocket, okay, so to speak. So balance, all right? Don't let that one plate get higher than the other. Put your thumb on the lower, or put your thumb on the higher one. Bring it down. Balance is a huge running theme in the book. Doesn't always get brought up, but here for you it did. So again, running theme, maybe take note. Also huge in the book is the importance of self-awareness. While I didn't get a direct mention here, I would say it's here between the lines just as much as balance. So promote self-awareness, learn about yourself, see when you're getting out of pocket, and you're probably going to improve yourself 50-60% just doing that, all right? Recognizing when you're out of hand. That said, that's your advice. So let's move on to your meditation. That's right, it's your birthday. You get a little something to ponder. Here we go. There is always someone better. Oh, I like this one for you. There is always someone better. Okay. Not going to say why I like it for you because, hey, it's your birthday, your meditation. I don't want to influence it for you. But there it is for you, all right? Your meditation. So with that in the can, let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's see where you got the girth and when you otherwise maybe a little more atrophied. Though I think we know they pretty helped on a lot of this stuff pretty much. Or pretty thoroughly, if you like. Let's see. Your strengths. You're strong-minded. Yeah, we picked up on that. You're persuasive. Picked up on that too. And you're progressive. Oh, I think, that social aspect where you have the ideas and the humor and the like. Progressive. But your weaknesses, what could those be? All right, your weaknesses. You're misleading, overindulgence, and destructive. Interesting. I don't know that I picked up on misleading. At least it wasn't your fault. Those other folks are the ones that were misled because they tried to emulate your your example. Is that your fault? I don't know. I guess they could lump it on you. You know, a lot of times I like to say our strengths can help us overcome our weaknesses. But at the same time, I like to argue our weaknesses can be strengths in unto themselves. See if I can make a case for myself here. Haven't been doing the best job of it as of late, but let's give it a shot here. You're strong-minded, persuasive, and progressive. How's it going to help you overcome your weaknesses of being misleading, overindulgent, and destructive? Hey, you're strong-minded, all right? You're earthly rooted with that Mars energy. So I would say you're going to have a practical approach, even if you've got some lofty, progressive ideas with which to do so. Like the book said, you're going to know when to put them to practice. Boom, that takes care of two of them right there. You're persuasive. Hey, you know what? People listen to you. If you tell them you need help with figuring how to improve yourself in some way, sounds to me like they're going to come to your aid. And since, as the book mentioned, you don't often like to share that particular, what you might see as an insecurity, they're probably going to jump at the chance. Boom, there's a strength right there that you might not even be using, all right? Because you hadn't thought of using it in that way. In any event, I think you get the idea there. But let's make a case for your weaknesses being strengths. This is where I tend to falter here. I have to cop out. Let's see if I can do that here, or if I can overcome. It says you're misleading. How can that be a strength? Well, as I often like to say, there's a little bit of a cop out here. Maybe you're at the head of a company, right? And some conglomerate's trying to come in and grab it up. Maybe you don't like that. You don't want that to happen. You know what? So maybe you mislead them to some place to show where, hey, this isn't a company you want to buy. And in which case you're destructive. You blow up the whole plan, all right? Well, also, there too, destruction is a job in and of itself. There's people that go in and blow up buildings, right? That's a strength. You've got to know how to do that, and that benefits society. So another progressive building can go up, right? Boom, there you go. Being destructive can be a strength. Overindulgent. How can that be a strength? Oh, how can that be a strength? Well, let's just say that you want the sale to go through with this conglomerate, right? And there are these types that are very conservative. They've never been shown a good time. Well, who better to show them a good time than the guy without the brakes on their car, or the gal with no wheels on the rig and takes it up to the mountain to ski down, within metaphor. All right, those folks are gonna be showing a good time. I would say a little bit of excess, and they might sign a dotted line. Maybe they can't sign it quick enough. All right. Overindulgence. Okay. I know those are some extreme, crazy examples, but hey, you might understand them perfectly considering your nature. All right. So I think I made a decent case despite a little bit of a cop out. Regardless, I think you get the point. Use your strengths to overcome your weaknesses, and don't get rid of your weaknesses altogether, because they're a part of who you are. All right. That said, your strengths and weaknesses in the bag, if you like. Let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, not only we get to see who shares your company, but something I like to do is look at it from the perspective of chasing or figuring out our passions. Because too often I meet folks out in the world who are just one track, following that time punch card, and then on the weekend, kind of rallying to start doing it again. No real motivation or drive to find something fulfilling in life. Or maybe it's there, but they don't put into work to figure out what it is or how to do it. And so if there's anything I can wish for you on your birthday, it's that you're getting on the track to figure that out, if it happens to be the case. For everybody else who's already got it figured out, hey, the hat I'm not wearing is off to you. Let's just see who shares your company. Sometimes that's interesting. So let's dive in, all right? With a mind to get our gears spinning on how to chase after our passions, all right? Even if it's not something that we see ourselves doing, all right? Just thinking about it, I'd say, is proactive. So here we go. We have Charles Baudelaire, French symbolist poet, responsible for The Flowers of Evil, and spent years translating Poe's stories into French. Also convicted of obscenity as far as excess goes, and died in poverty of syphilis. Oh, there's some more excess, even though it really ostensibly only takes once. That said, we have Paul Robeson, singer, actor, scholar, an All-American football player. Mary Pickford, a silent film actress, founding member of United Artists. We also have Jean-Paul Belmondo, French actor. Charles Proteus Steinmetz, a German-U.S. electrical engineer and an inventor. We also have Carl Perkins, singer-songwriter. Hugh Hefner, Playboy publisher. There we go, progressive mind, a little bit of excess there, or maybe a lot of it, who's to say. Dennis Quaid, the film actor. Robert Helpman, Australian-British dancer, also a choreographer, responsible for The Red Shoes, a play ostensibly, right? Or a dance, rather. What a guy here, Tom Lee Rear, Lehrer, not quite sure how to say that, but a satirist, songwriter, and a performer. We also have Saul Hurok, a classical musical impressionado. That said right? Impresario, rather. James W. Fulbright, U.S. Senator of Arkansas, and a scholarship founder, also a writer, and responsible for a work titled The Prince of Empire. Or The Price of Empire, rather. I'm coming off the wheels here. Teresa Newman, German stigmatist, and lived 30 years without eating. How's that for a swing diet? Well, it looks like you might need the wounds of Christ in order to pull that one off, so watch it, all right? We also have Antal Doriati, Hungarian-U.S. conductor of the Minneapolis Symphony. We also have Ephraim Zimbalist, a violinist. Dorothy Tootin, a British Shakespearean actress. Justine Hill, an anthropologist, an archaeologist, and a magazine editor. We also have Severiano Ballesteros, probably saying that wrong, a Spanish golfer, 3-time British Open, 2-time Masters winner. I also have Florence Price, so first African-American woman symphonic composer. We also have Henrik von Ludendorff, German World War II general and a Hitler supporter. There's always some folks who got a little bit too much Martian energy, all right? So stands as an example for you. That said, I don't think I recognized any of the names, so I would say the field is ripe for you to make your impression, despite the fact the book's already been written, all right? So kind of lay that expectation to rest if it's in there. That said, like I said, all right, if there's anything I can hope for you on your birthday, it's that you're figuring out how to chase down a passion and put it into practice. So you can be doing figurative or literal backflips out of bed in the morning to get into it, all right? That said, I messed up quite a few names there. Maybe the Hallmark Day for messing up names. So let's make up for it on my side of things. It's not done in malice. It's just hooked on phonics doesn't often work for me when it comes to the names there. So that said, that essentially rounds out your birthday reading for April 9th, the day of excess. Except to say your season is spring, your sign once again is Aries, the Aries II period specifically, and your quality and element is Cardinal Fire. That's a whole subset of other videos on the channel, so if you're interested, check that out. But like I said, this has been April 9th, the day of excess, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book in the description above a little personal birthday message I like to put together for the birthday boys and girls, so check either of those out if you're interested. But this book makes a great coffee table book. Maybe not enough excess for you, I don't know, or what was the word they used? Overindulgence. But you know what? Sometimes you got to bring it back a little bit. Maybe take the needle down a little bit. Put the brakes back on the car for a moment, because you might get the party going off on a great track as you open up a conversation and people read their birthdays, all right? Get the conversation started, for better or for worse, in a different kind of way. That said, book having been related, not altogether all too important here. Like I said, what is important here is it's somebody's birthday. So once again, if your birthday was April 9th, I just want to say happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else who joined us, hey, I hope you enjoyed yourselves, learned something about your intimates or your friends there, and that you join us for your birthday, all right? Once again, daily numbers, 4 and 5 for 9. Get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your side. And like I said before, you heard it here. Happy birthday, all right? So put your head up in the clouds a little bit more and temper some of that Martian aggression if you like, all right? Take her easy.